a very warm welcome to our Surface Stories today. We have a very, very special guest, and I'm really appreciated that she's joining us, Dr. Manuela Purola. She's coming from Milan, from Italy, and she's a really global, well-known specialist for color, also a color psychologist, and she's working all over Europe, all over US, and also in the UAE. So, Manuela, very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Elmar. That's so kind of you. So very warm presentation for myself. I'm very glad and honored to be here with you tonight.
Great. And today we had a very special idea about a nice theme which is touching us really a lot. And that's the question of luxury and color.
Exactly. So the collection of luxury colors and a team and a project so dear to me, to you, and because today, so the fact of designing a color collection is always an important task, and even more if when it comes to an important color collection, a collection of luxury colors.
That's interesting. Yeah, before we are going deeper into this idea about color and collection and so on. So for me, I was just thinking about, the perception of luxury is completely changing. So societies have been changing.
100%.
The middle classes of the societies, they are coming up, and luxury is really affordable for a lot of people. And we are talking about new luxury, quiet luxury, and so on. So the whole luxury industry has huge problems, and they now need to rethink their business ideas, and they have to rethink their concepts. And it's interesting that especially, let me say, colors are really creating a lot of emotions.
Yes, of course. So there are a lot of things to say about that. So let's start with the perception and the idea of what luxury is today. As you were saying, things are changing. So everything is evolving. Society is today's society is not so yesterday's society, and in a fast-paced world, so everything is on the move. And even the concept of luxury has changed. So now we are more open, so everyone is more open to a concept of quiet luxury, of silent luxury. It is no more about the ostentation of wealth, of opulence, but it is a subtle aesthetic. It is, the fact of choosing, craftsmanship, elegant pieces, sophisticated aesthetics. So no more opulence.
Yes, it's interesting what you said, because in former times, luxury was all about making and producing the things, also in colors. And nowadays, it's getting more emotionalized. So luxury is a question of life quality, but it's not just only the product itself. So it's the story behind. Means that we transport a meaning into something, and with that we transport emotions into that. That's the reasons why all in the luxury industry, where the branding is so deep and creates completely new possibilities, because it starts to transport the story behind.
Yes, exactly, 100%. As a color psychologist, I have studied a lot, so the relationship between colors and emotions. And of course, colors do convey, do transmit emotions. And nowadays, it is important, especially when it comes to interior design, to create this emotion. And colors are the basis where to start. And do you know, Elmar, why are colors connected to our emotion? So why they are connected to our emotion?
I guess it has, in the end, it has to do with the light itself. So the color is a kind of, what I understood is the color is kind of wavelength, and different colors create different wavelength. And out of this, there is another energy coming.
Exactly. So you are so well prepared. So you well prepared. Above all, we perceive colors through our eyes, of course, through our cones and rods, and the area in our brain where this information is elaborated, or these pieces of information is elaborated, is called the limbic system. And not a case, the limbic system is where also our emotions are elaborated. So there is a direct relationship, a direct connection between colors and our emotions.
Oh, that's interesting, because I also was thinking about, I mean, as you already mentioned about interior design. So, I mean, isn't it the combination of the different senses? I mean, like the smell, or also the touch. I mean, even if, especially when we are talking about interiors, we are talking about surfaces. And these surfaces can be different, and as they are different, we perceive them as different.
Exactly. We call it a synesthetic approach. When you mix up the senses, all human senses, so the sight, the smell, the touch, this is called the synesthesia of elements, of feelings, of emotions. And also, for example, when you enter or when you walk in a shop, more and more shops, more and more boutiques today are using this synesthetic approach just to involve the client. So the client is not just a client, is not just someone, an individual walking in the shop, but it is emotionally involved in the experience.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
It's great that you tell this, because I also think that in colors themselves, there are also already some ideas to integrate smell into colors, which makes a lot of sense. And the smell is the deepest sense what we have.
I'm sorry if I...
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking, a lot of people were asking me, since you are here since years in UAE, in Dubai, what are you missing from home, from Germany, where I come from and grew up? I always say the smell. It's the smell of the snow, the smell of the forest, the smell of nature.
So the smell of home, nature, which is different. And last year I was involved in a very interesting project. I was asked as a color consultant to design, a color palette for a collection of perfumes. Huh? So I had to combine the perfume, so the smelling of these scents, and the color, and it was amazing. And the project really was spectacular. Yeah.
I like it because there is a lot of unconsciousness. So, we are not running through the world and telling, oh, the smell is nice and it fits to this. But we feel that there is something special. And we feel comfortable or not.
Exactly.
And that is a lot, from what I understand, that there's a lot to do with the psychologists, also in terms of colors, in terms of smell, in terms of touch.
in terms of everything. So our brain, consider that our brain is a perfect machine. It has a perfect structure. And whenever we live an experience, our brain is able to record and to store every single piece of information, smell and colors included. And the neuroscience has been studying this branch deeply for some times. So the connection between this synesthesia of emotions, so our experience, the way we experience the world and our brain, and that's perfect.
That's another aspect I'm always thinking about is the feeling we get when we are looking and perceiving colors. I guess every color has a special notation. And if we are looking into different cultures, the notation can be completely different.
Yes, the meaning, the perception, and the meaning. So the way people interpret this color. Yeah, in this sense, we'd rather speak about color symbolism rather than color psychology. So there are two slightly different things. Let's take it, for example, into consideration color white. For Western people, so for me, for you, white is a color associated to purity, to innocence. And in fact, brides generally wear white gowns for the weddings. For the Eastern society, and even here in Middle East society, so the perception, so the meaning, so the meaning people give to color white is slightly different. It is always associated to spirituality, to purity, but it is also connected to the idea of death, of mourning. And in fact, while for example, in Italy, but also in Germany, so in the Western society, in the US, during funerals, people were black. In the Eastern society, they were white. So that's it is extremely interesting because the cultural background and the tradition model the perception and so the meaning people give to a color in particular.
I like that. And I mean, starting to close a loop which we discussed before. As you are saying this, I was thinking about the color of purple, because purple was in history, it was the color of the kings, of the might, of the rich. It was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was because purple was difficult to produce. Means coming
You are so well prepared, Elmar.
Yes, I mean,
anything to teach you today.
Fortunately, you know a lot more than me, and you're the specialist. But I was thinking, as purple was the color of luxury, when it came to
one of the color of luxury, yeah.
Yes, one of the colors, but I mean it was the king's color.
Yeah.
So
the color associated to royals,
Royals.
Exactly. And you know why it is true? In the past, purple was very difficult to produce. I mean, the purple pigment used for dyeing clothing, for example, but also to create paint, And you know why? Because it was extracted from a very rare species of mollusk. So the process of extraction, then drying, was really long, elaborated. It took a very long time. And so it was not commonly available. It was not easy to find. And only affluent people, mainly royal people, so, kings, emperor, could afford it. So that's why.
And it's interesting. And that was exactly the luxury of the past. And now luxury is going to change, and it's not the question about only producing the color or producing
Of
something.
course, not we
It's
have
the
synthetic colors, and so of course times so has evolved, and so there is no more difficulty in producing colors.
yes, and the emotional content is getting a completely new meaning. And I'm always thinking about one of the most significant colors for me is Tiffany's. The Tiffany color,
Oh,
you know?
that Tiffany has a very interesting story behind this color. Because it derives from the robin egg, which is this particular shade of light blue, so the Tiffany color, and Tiffany registered this color as his iconic brand. It's very
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And there is, by the way, another the telecom company in Germany. They are just use magenta, and they have a TV station which is called Magenta TV. So they just only use magenta, and when you hear magenta, you always think about the German telecom.
Exactly. So when a color become the symbol, the icon of a brand. So this happened with Tiffany, orange with Hermes, for example, blue balestra, for example, from the famous, designer
Red by Ferrari,
Ferrari.
is
Or
Italian.
Valentino Red also. Valentino Red, if we speak about fashion, Valentino Red. So there is a color, a specific shade, particular shade, which became iconic for that brand, representative of the brand.
And this is a purely emotional situation, because it has nothing to do with the value of the brand itself. It's just the association we get with that.
Exactly.
So means that choosing the right colors has more meaning to our daily lives and to our well-being than we would first. We don't think about this.
Yes. So you need to create your own identity, your own color identity. And so the creation, for example, of a palette of luxury color could really bring a lot of value. It would be an added value to a brand, whatever it is.
And so it's true. And I think, what would that mean for nowadays situation? So, like, for example, we have here in UAE, I mean, here we have a lot of desert around. So the whole coloring of the situations in the rooms is mostly connected into these kind of color schemes. But from my point of view, it starts to get interesting and also impulsing for the people if we have at least two colors. So, I mean, if we start to have a combination of something, because otherwise, if you only have white, you don't have a contrast. And
it would be plain, so boring. So the creation of some contrast. I always suggest a creation of some contrast.
It's a stimulation. I mean, it stimulates our senses.
More stimulating. And you mentioned so colors coming from a natural environment. Yes, that's true. So we might speak about the neutrals. So, there are a lot of neutral colors, neutral tones. Let's say all the shades of beige, of taupe, of whites, of sand tones, okay, which are neutrals. I mean, psychologically speaking, they create just a sense of calmness, because they are neutral color, neutrality. And above all, they are connected to the environment, to nature. One of the basic needs of man is the connection with nature. And it is extremely important, especially nowadays, in a so fast-paced world, When you go home, you need to enter your private sanctuary of relaxation, And yes, so we have the colors of nature, so not only the neutrals, but all the shades of green, for example, deriving from the forest, the plants, the trees, flowers, all the shades of blue from sky and also from the water. And you mentioned also the sand tones. Of course, here, especially in Middle East, when I come here, I notice that most of ambiences are created in sand tones because it is a color of desert. So dear to this population, to this country. So that's it.
Okay, that's really interesting. And I was thinking again, coming back to the emotional point on this. I mean, choosing my colors. So when we go back to the idea of luxury and new luxury, also quiet luxury, we see that the emotional background of colors is getting more and more important. So what kind of message we do transport when we look at color tones, when we are in our, as you said, when we are in our ambiences, in our private ambiences, and the louder the world gets at the moment outside, the more it is important to get smooth inside.
Exactly. Yes, you need to feel comfortable at home, and a sanctuary of of good feelings and emotions, and of course neutral tones, but also the shades coming from nature help a lot. So in this way, and they can be used as a color of luxury. Because if you combine, for example, a neutral shade with a shade of green, I mean, not vibrant green, not vibrant color, but toned down, for example, mint green, sage green, soft blue. And then, so the combination is perfect. With a pop of gold or a pop of silver, imagine neutral tones, so very toned down shades of green or blues, and a pop of gold or silver. So that's extremely sophisticated, extremely elegant. So
and quiet in the way that it smooths you down. I have a question to you as scientist. I mean, have there been tests that people in, let me say, in red rooms have different heartbeats or whatever, blood pressure than in a smooth?
Yeah,
yes.
a lot. Yeah, this depends on the perception of a color. As you were saying, each color has its own wavelength. And for this reason, we perceive all warm colors, so red, orange, and yellow, basically, as particularly exciting, stimulating. So, for example, if you suffer from high blood pressure, I would never suggest to paint your wall in red or in yellow or orange. So that's why. On the contrary, blues and purple tones are considered cool tones. Okay, and they convey a feeling of relaxation. And in fact, for this reason, the tones of green is in between, In the color spectrum, if you notice, green is in between the warm color and the cool color. And in fact, green is a color of balance, of neutrality, of nature, okay? So it's a very positive and soothing color, calming color. All the shades of blues and the shades of purple are particularly indicated when it comes to design, for example, a bedroom or a reading room, a room where you need to relax. And the tones of purple, so that's out of curiosity, are especially used, are warmly suggested, for example, if you have a spa or if you have, a yoga center, a Ayurvedic center, because purple is also a mystical color. So the color of, spirituality. I don't know, I'm not a specialist, I'm not professional about chakras, but so our third eye, so the chakra, the purple chakra, is the connection between man, okay, so earthly things, and heaven and the sky. So that's,
Wow.
and it's all about spirituality, again, relaxation, soothing, and calming. Conversely, colors like yellow, orange are highly recommended, for example, when it comes to design a sitting room, a living room, because they are the color of, the color of warmth, welcoming color. So what do? Generally, when you are in a sitting room, so you invite people, you talk with them, so they are the right colors.
It's I already mentioned this before, but I really like, there is one project, it was done by the famous Finnish architect Alvar Aalto. It was done in 1955 somewhere in Finland. I don't know if it was in Helsinki. He started to design or create a new hospital. And he found out that the main part of the people who are in hospital, they are laying in bed and they always look at the ceiling. And so he started to paint the ceiling in the whole hospital yellow, like the sun.
Because, and he did so well, because yellow, like orange or all the peach tones, are vitaminic colors. And research has proven that looking at these tones, these shades of yellow, of orange, of peach tones, stimulate your recovering process. There have been a lot of study, a lot of research about what Aalto did.
Yes, I know, and but I like these, let me say, simple ideas who are completely the opposite of being simple. Yeah, it's great. Let me step back again to my lovely theme of luxury, because I just was thinking about, as you're saying this, I mean, nowadays we can only create valuable products and solutions if we think them in a sustainable way. Yeah. And I know sustainability is a buzzword and everybody is just saying this, but it also differentiates new solutions in colors, because I think as the situation outside in the world which we have nowadays, I mean, every day is somewhere is a new war. The whole systems are running crazy. There is a lot of insecurity in the minds of people, in the hearts of people. And when I now step back to my private heaven, what I have into my private area,
Sanctuary, yeah.
So I was thinking, what does it mean? I mean, if we are thinking about that we try to create valuable solutions which are really sustainable. In terms of coloring, what does it mean? From my point of view, it must be something natural, something earthy. So it's neutral. But on the other hand, I always think if we don't have contrasts in what we are doing, it's within a short time, it does not stimulate our thoughts.
But you can create this contrast, of course. So starting from neutrals. So we have already talked about neutrals, but you can also use other shades, recalling nature, recalling external ambience. For example, the greens, the blues, but not only. The deep tones of brown. Instead of using wood, which is a natural material, of course, but you can create a beautiful, amazing effect inside your home, combining, mix and matching, so the different tones of browns, of ochre, of terracotta, for example. And, the result would be sophistication. So luxury, sophistication. I want to step back to what you said about Alto, who decided to paint, the ceiling. So very often, so people do not consider the ceiling as a wall to be painted. It is a wall, so you can paint it whatever you like. So you can choose any color. And you can also create the effect you prefer. Because, the color, the contrast create proportions. Imagine, for example, you would like to visually lower the ceiling of your home. So you live in a very big home, okay, and you would like to obtain a lowering effect when looking at the ceiling. Then you might paint it in a deep shade. For example, deep brown. Imagine deep brown or any shade of brown. Doesn't need to be extremely dark, extremely deep. And, for example, a light floor with creamy furniture or furnishings. So the contrast is amazing. Or, for example, when you need to narrow a space, then you can leave the ceiling painted light with frontal wall, same light, and so the walls, the side, left side and the right side painted in a darker shade. And I think this is quite economical also. I mean, you do not need paneling, you do not need lowering. So
yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, from my point of view, also color itself are sustainable in that way. If you want to innovate something, no matter if it's in industry, in car industry, if it's in mobile industry, whatever, I mean, the first thing what they do is they change colors. They come up with a new color palette, and that's the new idea. And changing colors is the lowest cost to change everything what you can do.
The best innovation, and you can really, with the colors, people sometimes do not know that. But with colors, you can really change your home while obtaining the effect you want to create. Only with the use of paint, only with the use of a color. So it would be extremely important nowadays to work with the right color palette.
What is the right color palette?
Okay, so generally when I deal with a client, of course, we need, as experts, as a color expert, to take into consideration a lot of factors. First of all, the client's needs and the taste, the geographical position, because, Elmar, also lighting is extremely important when it comes to color perception. In northern countries, home needs to be warm, so to give the idea of warmth, but also as light as possible, because the winter months are so long and the light there is so dim. So you need to have light inside your home. Here in Emirates, so the geographical condition and climate condition are different. So, but again, you can create beautiful spots in your home. Like sanctuary. So the creation of a color palette is never a piece of cake, You need to take into consideration the geographical position, the condition of lighting, like we said, the needs and the taste of the customer, of course, and the way color communicate to each other. So the creation of the right contrast, so the use of neutrals, combining them with particular shades, considering the value, so how light or how dark a color is, considering also the luminosity, considering the brightness. For example, when it comes to luxury, consider that if you want to give the impression of luxury, you need to use a toned down shade. So what is a toned down shade? Take a vibrant color. You can add some white, but that's not enough. To tone down a color, you need to use a bit of gray. When you use light or medium light and soft color, then the effect is amazing, and really it gives the impression of sophistication that you are looking for.
And elegance. I'm always
elegance.
I'm a big fan of elegant solutions, especially when it comes to the idea of luxury. And as you said, I mean, it's kind of understatement. Before that, luxury was loud. Luxury was bling bling and gold.
Yes,
it can still be, I guess, but the new perception of luxury, especially for the new generations,
is silent, is a quiet luxury, is a sophistication and elegance, and no more ostentation. Imagine a vibrant shade of green. Okay, imagine that green toned down with some white and with some gray. Let's say sage green, mint green. It's fantastic. It's extremely sophisticated. And the more colors are toned down, the better they can be combined together. So imagine combining a fiery red and a vibrant green. Oh my God, that's too much. I mean, you can use it if you like, but oh my God, so the impression is really, it's a bit too much. Okay, it's really heavy. Imagine the same red toned down and imagine the same green toned down. So they create a perfect combination of a color. Elegant, sophisticated, luxurious.
It's so interesting when we really are going into that. I mean, it's a very sensitive thing to choose the right colors, and also still thinking about, as you mentioned already, the light. So if we have a natural lighting, if we have a sharp light, if we have a cold light, warm light, whatever. So
natural light, artificial light.
Yes, this is so. And yeah, and by the way, I was thinking as you're telling about the ceiling, the meaning of the ceiling. If you, for example, look at great architecture from Jean Nouvel, the Louvre in Abu Dhabi, he just took the ceiling as a projection, with playing with the light and everything.
Exactly.
So that is from my point of view, one of the best effects what you can have. So, having said this, I still think that the surface itself can also be an interesting instrument for designing the right atmosphere. It's not just the pure color tone. It's the question, is it shiny or not? Is it very straight or is it scratched? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
because when we perceive a color, we do perceive, and this is a bit technical, but we need to clarify. We do perceive the color reflected by the object. So, I mean, if I observe a red object, it means that this object has absorbed all the color of the light spectrum, so the color of the rainbow, basically, and it reflects the red one, except the red one, which is the color we perceive, okay? And of course, the perception of a color differs based on the surface, the kind of surface, the material. Whether it is, smooth, whether it is matte or luminous, whether it is a bit rough, materials, furnishings, fabrics. So they are all part of the color perception. A same color, a same shade will be perceived in a different way based on the kind of surface.
That's another interesting architectural element, I guess, for architects and interior designers, and for planning my private paradise. I always think about this.